Hey, I'm doing it. I'm YouTubing it. I'm a YouTuber or YouTuberance. Um, so I'm gonna go through this from start to finish, SketchUp to Max to V-Ray. I prefer to use V-Ray through Max. There is a V-Ray for SketchUp, which maybe in your professional career might be a little more used, but I prefer to do it through Max because there are a lot more options. And V-Ray is an amazing tool, so I'd rather use it for all it's worth. So this is it. So presuming that you're modeling in SketchUp and you've got this super awesome model. This one was made by Peter Guthrie. Peter Guthrie is this amazing visual artist. You can check out his stuff right there. So I'm going to export this so I can bring it into Max. My preferred not import. My preferred export file format is 3ds, mainly because I can, under the options, export it by material. So when it comes into Max, everything is grouped or sort of separated, and all the materials are assigned by material, and the materials are all named. You'll see how it's easy in a second. I definitely want to export the texture maps, and I definitely want to preserve the coordinates. I do not want to bring in cameras. I want to use my own cameras, and I want to set the model units to scale to model units. So that's that. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to save that as a 3ds file. I'm going to do it on the desktop in my Viz folder. So I like to work out of a Viz folder that has all this stuff. There's also, in your libraries, if you go to your documents, 3ds Max Design also has kind of the same. That's sort of the default. I prefer to do it in my own, just because I don't like some of the other stuff that ends up in there. So I would suggest, copying this from the flash drive that I gave you for class and setting it up on your desktop. And then I already have one saved here, but I'm going to export and save over the top of it, just so you can see what happens. So then while this is going, I'm going to go into Max, and this is a straight up generic Max, and what I want to do is open, don't save that scene, I want to go into the desktop again, desktop, Viz, scenes. I've got a couple other extras in here, but I'm just going to, when you first do this, you'll just have this one Max start. So we're going to open the Max start file, which should give us this little cube. And you might have a checkerboard back here or something like this, which just, I'm going to click on that, it'll go white. But what you'll want to do is go under Customize, Preferences, Files, and then make sure this is checked. Convert local paths to relative and hit OK. Then I'm going to go Customize, Configure User Paths, and this guy I want to set to be the folder on my desktop. That's that Viz folder, and hit OK. And then under external files, I'm just going to select all of this stuff. Hold down the shift key, select the first one, scroll down to the last one, hold down shift, select the last one, delete. And then I want to add all of the folders that are in this Viz folder on my desktop. So I'm going to click this once, add subpaths, use path, click it again, hit OK, and I should be in business. Just to check that, I'm going to hit the render, this little teapot here, to hit the render button and see and make sure that I've got a sky, I've got everything's going on, so that means that everything is working well. If you don't get that, if it just starts rendering black, you can open up, this is your material editor. You can open up this guy and make sure that you see a sky right there. If you don't, you can go right here to browse, and then go to your desktop, Viz folder, go into the material libraries folder under HDRI, and these are the high definition resonance images. Might want to look that up, I'm not sure I got that right. And then here are all the different ones, and if you ever want to cycle through and see how different skies change light in a scene, you can cycle through these. I would suggest, just for doing normal ones, to do somewhere either 3 or 5. I think what I've got in there right now is 5. So then you can just click on that and click open. And then it might take a minute to sort of load up, and then you'll see it. So that's that. Now I want to import this guy, not the SketchUp file, not the one that's the SketchUp. I want to import the 3D Studio model. Open. I want to make sure that I merge it with the current scene, and I want to convert the units. That's really important. And there I am. I'm in. So now I can see that there's this little yellow box that's around one of the squares. That's the one that's active. I can always push down my mouse wheel to go to a different one. I'm going to stay in this V-Ray physical camera one. Stay right there. And right click and do the V-Ray scene converter. And I do want to make sure that I turn on trace reflections and convert. So now I can start setting up materials. Open up this, and then click on this little guy that's Get Material. And the best way to think of this little material editor, this is the compact material editor. It's the best way to think of it as like a little palette that you paint with. You got a few colors on a palette that you can sort of dig in there with your hands and paint with immediacy. You might have 1,000 paint colors behind you on a shelf, but what's right on your palette immediately is right there. This Get Material is kind of going to the back shelf to get other colors that you can, or other materials, whatever, that you can throw on here and more immediately work with. So here are, if you go into here, you'll see, you'll probably just see these 3 or maybe these 4. You want to go under Scene Materials, and this gives us all the materials that came in from SketchUp. You can see how they're all nicely named and organized. So I'm going to click and drag each of these in here as an instance. And the difference in V-Ray between instance and copy is it's kind of like in SketchUp when you move something and you move a copy of it, you have to right click and make it unique in order to not modify both instances or both copies at the same time. So it's kind of the same way. Basically, the links, it keeps the links live. So 99% of the time in V-Ray you want to copy things as an instance, particularly maps and stuff like that, so that they always stay linked. So I'm going to drag all these in. In no way am I saying that I know how to do this better than lots of other people know how to do. So if you ever want to learn from the masters, there are some links that I've emailed you over the semester that you can kind of check out. And there are some really, really great tools for developing materials that go far beyond what I'm going to ever cover in this little video or in this semester, in this exercise that we're doing. But this gets us started. So there are all of my materials that are in the scene, every single one. This override material, that's just the one on the box and the plane that were in there initially. You can drag that one in if you want. We probably won't use it all that much anymore, but and then the HDRI map is right there already. The other thing you might want to do is double click on one of your materials and make sure that the image is there, that you see the image of the in this case it's the floor, the travertine tile. If you don't see, if it just looks flat, the first thing I would do is go to the options and make sure that this render sample size is at 6 inches and click apply. That'll make sure that you can see everything. And then if it's still not there, you can click this little M right here next to diffuse and click the bitmap and see if you can go and find it. If you can't find it in the root folder of your viz folder, which is where it should take you first, then you can always go up to the material libraries. I've made copies of it in the material library under Farnsworth, so there are separate files there if you need to get them. So that's how we do all that. So now we're set up. I'm gonna do File, and I'm gonna Save As. I'll just call this the Farnsworth. I'll overwrite my other Farnsworth demo, and I'll save. I want to replace that. So there I go. So now I'm gonna set up all the materials and do click a test render. So what I first want to do is move my camera. So if I push my mouse wheel down over into this window, I can hold the mouse wheel down and drag, and that moves me around like this. That pans me around. If I hit this little guy, this is the dolly. I prefer to hold the mouse wheel down and do the bottom one. This is the dolly with target. That's the one that I prefer to use when moving around. So it moves the camera and the target, not just the camera at the same time. And let's go to maybe right around here to start. Let me back. I want to see the wood too, so let's do like that to start. So first thing I can see is I don't have a ground plane, so I want to make sure I expand a ground plane out so it's underneath everything. I'll go over here, use my select tool, select this guy, go over to modify, change this to 500 by 500 feet. That should help me out. Good deal. Now I want to go and make all my materials. So first I'm going to do what they're calling out as ALU, which I'm assuming is aluminum, which I'm assuming is some kind of anodized aluminum / chrome. So it's a chrome-like material. Diffuse color of chrome is usually pretty dang close to black. It's important not to go to absolute 0 on these colors because it can cause problems in the rendering, because rendering is all one big, computer formula, and you can imagine if you start to zero out things in a formula, you can get all kinds of weird things happening. So it's a good idea. I usually put this checkerboard on so I can see what's going on with reflections. Obviously there aren't any right now. Chrome reflects a lot. You can set it as a value, and right away you can see that there's some residuals from SketchUp. This little thing, which I needed to get rid of by clicking the L so it locks it to the reflect. I also want to make sure that I click Fresnel reflections, and those are two things I want to do with every single material. So right now it's reflecting, but it doesn't look a whole lot much like chrome, which because chrome as a metal has a very high index of refraction, much higher than the standard 1.6. So if I unclick that L, it unlocks it, unlocks the index of refraction. I can set that to maybe 5. I could even go higher, up to 6. So there it is. It's a little too perfect, so I might want to do a map. I click on this little guy here, and I'm going to go to the under Maps, Standard, Bitmap, double click, and then I'll go into Desktop, Viz, Material Libraries, Metals, and I'll use the Chrome Reflect map. So that gives me a little more character to the reflection, to how it reflects. It's not quite as perfect now. It might be a little bit too imperfect, and I may not have the map coordinates right, so I might want to change the map coordinates. It looks like in reality the image is about 3 times longer than it is wide, so I might want to make that 3 feet, or maybe I want to make this 1 foot and I want to make that 4 inches. That looks a little better. And then I want to affect the nature of how the chrome reflects, which is in the reflect glossiness. So I might want to do a map in there too. And I've got this chrome glossy, which is essentially a photograph of a bunch of fingerprints, which is really fun to play with. And again, I want to set this the same way, so I'll do that at 4 inches. You can see how that sort of looks like a bunch of little fingerprints. Maybe that's a little bit too small. Maybe I want to go to 1 foot and 3 feet with this one, do it the other direction. So keep in mind, I'm making this is like a 6-inch sample, so this is almost like looking at a maybe a 1 foot or 6-inch to 1 foot diameter sphere. So this might all be a little too extreme. What I can do is go down to the maps down here, and I can start to blend, and I can do that by turning down these numbers or from 100%. So this is basically saying that right now the reflect glossiness is being manipulated by the map, that JPEG I just put in, by 100%. So I could take that down to 50, and you can see how that starts to do things. 70 maybe for that. Yeah, maybe I want to take that down to 60, this down to 40. Maybe that's a little too low. So you can just sort of see how you can kind of play around with that and see in the preview how that's working out. I probably also want to set this to not quite 1, maybe 0.96. I know it seems silly, but it makes a big difference in the actual realism when you go to render. So now that's starting to look like a real deal chrome, so I'm done with that one. Now I'll do the next one. This is concrete. So concrete, wood, steel, stone, I do them all the same way. I do it with a JPEG in the diffuse slot to give it its color, and then I do a color correct in the reflect and reflect glossy, and that's all I do. So I'm just going to click this and this to make sure I don't forget those, and click that so I can see the background. I'm going to go to diffuse, bitmap, up, concrete, and I'll do this concrete new. I like this new one. This is really a nice texture. So there's my concrete. I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to do I'm going to drag that down to here for now as an instance. Then I'm going to click on this and click where it says